Escape seems compromised for the fugitive, but that doesn't stop him from continuing the fight. Cornered behind his car, however, he is quickly overtaken by the bursts of SWAT bullets flying everywhere.
On the morning of February 28, 1997, news helicopters broadcast live from a quiet neighborhood in northern Los Angeles. Below them, a routine bank heist was escalating into one of the most violent shootouts in American history. Two heavily armed bank robbers were engaged in heavy gunfire against hundreds of LAPD officers. They were outnumbered, but certainly not outgunned. The robbers wielded multiple fully automatic rifles, thousands of high-caliber rounds, and enough body armor to render the LAPD's standard weapons virtually useless. That morning, Los Angeles briefly became a war zone, forever altering the course of American policing. The perpetrators, Phillips and Matasareanu, Larry Phillips Jr., came from a long line of criminals. After dropping out of high school and briefly training as a bodybuilder, he sought a new path. He tried working as a real estate agent but couldn't resist easy money, running small property scams. The major turning point in his criminal career was likely meeting his future partner at the gym. Emil Matasareanu immigrated from Romania in 1976. Born with a rare heart condition, he struggled with weight and relentless bullying, which left him bitter and angry. He signed up to the same gym as Larry to lose weight. They bonded over a shared passion for firearms. Larry, already engaged in small-scale crime, began collaborating with Emil on more ambitious projects. In the early 90s, bank robberies were an epidemic in the Los Angeles area. Although generally unsophisticated and low profit, their high frequency prompted banks to hire armed guards, implement die packs, and introduce trackers. The government responded by raising the minimum sentence for bank robbery to 25 years. This successfully reduced the number of robberies by half by 1995. However, this also forced the most determined criminals to adapt. Heists became more carefully planned, more ambitious, and much more violent, employing military-grade weapons and deadly force for bigger scores. Phillips and Matasareanu were part of this new, dangerous breed. Their first confirmed major robbery came in 1993. They ambushed an armored car, escaping with tens of thousands of dollars. 3 months later, their luck ran out. They were pulled over for speeding in a rented car and arrested after giving conflicting stories. The officer discovered 2 rifles, 2 handguns, 3,000 rounds of ammunition, smoke bombs, improvised explosives, fake license plates, and 2 sets of full body armor. Both Larry and Emil got a short jail sentence for conspiracy to commit robbery, and their gear was confiscated. Rather than ending their criminal careers, this incident only fueled them. Their heists became bigger and more complex. In 1995, they escalated, killing a security guard during an armored vehicle robbery. By 1996, they had perfected the military-style robbery, using overwhelming firepower to rob 2 Bank of America branches, walking away with hundreds of thousands of dollars. They were now ready for their largest and ultimately most disastrous job. The morning of the assault, North Hollywood. By 1997, Phillips and Matasareanu had selected their target, the Bank of America on Laurel Canyon Boulevard. The location was strategically perfect, near a highway with ample parking for escape, a busy mall for potential human shields, and residential side streets for getaway routes. This detailed preparation shows this was not a reckless job, but the culmination of years of escalating criminal ambition. Their arsenal included 3 fully automatic Norinco Type 56 rifles, Chinese-made AK-47s, fitted with 100-round drum magazines, a Bushmaster XM15 dissipator, and an HK-91 battle rifle. The HK-91, in particular, was perfect for longer distance combat. Beneath their clothes, they wore Kevlar vests and heavy steel plates on their chest and back. Larry further wrapped his groin, arms, and legs in makeshift Kevlar padding. The average LAPD officer at the time carried only a 9mm pistol, Beretta M92FS, with limited magazines, weapons useless against the robber's armor. As a last resort, both Phillips and Matasareanu even brought a Beretta themselves. Their plan was precise. Enter, control the civilians, force open the vault, fill their bags, and exit in 8 minutes before police could arrive. They expected to take at least $750,000. Planning the heist for a Friday morning when the bank's vault was expected to be restocked with cash. But the carefully laid plan failed immediately. When the plan failed at 9:16 a.m., Larry and Emil exited their Chevrolet Celebrity, having taken phenobarbital to calm their nerves. They had sewn watch faces into their gear to time the 8-minute job perfectly. Just as they approached the front door, Larry spotted a patrol car driving by. Though unsure if they were seen, they continued. Larry immediately grabbed a man at an ATM, threw him to the floor, and fired into the ceiling. Emil shot the lock off the security door and shoved the assistant manager toward the vault. Their plan hit its first snag. The vault was not a single chamber, but multiple individual lockboxes, each needing a separate key. Moreover, the cash delivery they expected had been randomized for security. This meant the robbery would be slower and less profitable. 3 minutes in, Larry left Emil in the vault and stepped outside. He saw the police waiting across the street. The LAPD was already on site. This was going to turn violent quickly. 8 minutes in, Emil had stuffed his duffel bag with $303,305 and, unknowingly, 3 die packs. On the outside, over 20 LAPD officers had already taken defensive positions, covering the north and west sides of the bank. Larry Phillips then stepped out, raised his AK-47, and opened fire. The shootout. A violent gunfight erupted instantly. The police took cover, shooting back. But their 9mm rounds were useless against Larry's body armor from over 200 feet away. Larry's AK, conversely, could easily pierce through cars and nearby building walls. For 4 straight minutes, Larry stood in the open, unleashing hundreds of rounds across Laurel Canyon. Emil joined him, and together they wounded multiple officers and civilians. But eventually, they realized they had to flee. As Emil stepped out, the 3 die packs exploded in his bag. An officer's bullet managed to graze his forehead. Seeing the die pack explosion, Larry assumed the money was ruined, a costly error as most of the cash was still wrapped in plastic and intact. He abandoned the bag. The fight was now solely about survival. It remains unclear why they didn't attempt to drive away at this point. Perhaps they believed all escape routes were blocked. For the next 20 minutes, Larry fought hundreds of officers alone while Emil recovered. Larry was hit at least 3 more times, including a shot to a gap in his body armor, but adrenaline and phenobarbital kept him fighting. Larry ran out of ammunition for his AK, retrieved the HK-91, and resumed fire. He tried to communicate with Emil, but was interrupted by a direct shot to his left arm, incapacitating his aim. To make matters worse, their car had 2 flat tires from all the shooting. Despite the damage, Emil started driving off slowly, using the car as a shield while shooting. Larry followed on the ground. Larry's armor blocked 3 more shots, but a bullet jammed his HK-91 beyond repair. This sealed his fate. He discarded it and switched to the 3rd AK-47, which was illegally modified and malfunctioned after every few shots, forcing him to manually remove and reinsert the magazine each time. Emil, desperate, tried to get Larry into the car, but Larry refused. He slammed the door and continued using the car for cover as Emil drove beside him. They reached the residential neighborhood, where Larry took cover behind an abandoned police cruiser and a semi-truck. In the chaos of the high-speed, low-mileage chase, they became separated. Larry was now trapped between the truck, a wooden fence, and two groups of police officers, armed only with the faulty AK-47 and a Beretta. He was shot twice in the back. The second bullet missed the plating and struck his subclavian artery, causing severe bleeding and immense pain. In a panic, his AK-47 jammed permanently. Realizing his options were gone, Larry crawled under the semi-truck, but police fire forced him back out. Severely injured, Larry pulled his Beretta and fired one-handed, but officers shot his hand, making him drop the gun. It was over for Larry. The capture of Matasareanu. While this was happening, the LA SWAT team arrived and began searching for Emil, who was deep in the neighborhood in the crippled Chevrolet. Emil needed a new vehicle. After a failed carjacking attempt, he forced a pickup truck to stop by shooting through its windshields, grazing the driver. The driver abandoned the truck, taking the keys. Emil parked his Chevy, climbed into the pickup, and tried to hotwire it. While doing so, he was spotted by a SWAT team that pulled up alongside him. Emil jumped out, seconds before the driver's seat was riddled with bullets. He took cover and sprayed the SWAT team with his AK-47. After 2.5 minutes, he ran out of ammunition and had to retrieve his second rifle, the XM15. This pause allowed a SWAT officer to spot an angle on Emil's legs, which were unprotected. When Emil resumed firing, the officer took precise shots, hitting Emil multiple times in the calf. Emil hit the ground but kept shooting. A final bullet struck his arm, making him drop the XM15. Now unarmed, Emil raised his hands and surrendered. Unaware of his surrender, the SWAT officers continued firing briefly, hitting his legs several more times. They eventually ceased fire and pinned Emil on his stomach. Because the police suspected a third gunman was still at large, they refused to move Emil. Even when medics arrived, officers turned them away. Emil, with blood-thinning barbiturates in his system, stayed there for 56 minutes and bled out from the bullet wounds in his legs. The area remained on lockdown until the LAPD concluded that there was never a third gunman. At 11:30 p.m., the North Hollywood shootout came to an end. The aftermath and police reform, over 300 LAPD and SWAT officers responded. 12 officers and 8 civilians were wounded. More than 2,000 bullets were fired in 44 minutes. The fact that only the 2 robbers were killed was a miracle, considering the sheer volume of high-powered ordnance used. The live media coverage showed millions of people the stark reality. The LAPD's standard-issue 9mm pistols and shotguns were completely inadequate against military-grade firepower and body armor. The American police forces were severely under-equipped. This incident became a major turning point, leading to sweeping reforms in police departments nationwide. Departments began issuing AR-15s and other long-range semi-automatic rifles, as well as improved ammunition and body armor, including trauma plates and ballistic helmets. Though not the sole cause, the North Hollywood shootout significantly accelerated police militarization, ensuring that law enforcement would never again be caught so dramatically unprepared. Today, American police forces are much better prepared for such extreme situations.